Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. We're heading to the SEC. It's Auburn at LSU. This is going to be Brian's best bet. So I'm going to come to you first, Preston. At the beginning of the season, Auburn was the sexy pick with a lot of experts here in town. I know you were one of them that were high on him. And so far, they've lived up to it. They've got one loss on the season. That was out of conference to Clemson. No shame in that, the way Clemson's played, and especially they're the one team that held Clemson to their season low, only 14 points, losing 14-6. And since then, they have done nothing but roll teams in the SEC. LSU's been all over the chart. Lose to Troy, go on the road, beat Florida. This is a team that, a lot of people had high expectations on. I know you weren't as high on LSU coming in as a lot of other people were with the coaching change, the addition to Matt Canada. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, this is actually one of the reasons I bet Auburn before the year. It was my only main futures bet. My other two were 500-1 shots. Auburn was 32-1, and then I added them at 75-1 after Clemson. But that was the reason I made it in the first place, is they can lose to Clemson and still easily get into a playoff or the SEC title game. And they closed the season at home against Alabama, which is a spot where if you wanted to hedge some, you could, and play it by ear at that point. But I really was pretty down on LSU, like you mentioned. I bet their under-season wins at 9. So I really like this spot, this game for Auburn, to win. Granted, Georgia now is a little more scary, and I think that's in 2 or 3 weeks. That's actually the game that's going to be the one where I need Auburn. But they're really, really good. And you made a great point. 14 points now, and that Clemson, one of the touchdowns was a broken play. Bryant scrambled for 40 yards and scored. It was, Auburn's defense has been so good. And now, funny enough, I was betting against a game of the year. I took Auburn plus 7.5 against Clemson, and it landed 8, so I lost. But one of the reasons I thought, Clemson's going to take some time to replace Deshaun Watson and figure out the new offensive, just the setup. And sure enough, I was kind of flipped where now Jarrett Stidham and Auburn's figuring out how to use him as a passer at quarterback as well as their run game, which is always so effective. And they've been scary. Just rolling over Ole Miss. They gave up in the second half. I know they were up 38 at one point in that game, and it ended up landing 21. But they rolled Mississippi State, is a really, really solid program. I stared there. This will sum it all up, and I'm going to let Brian talk. I was staring at win at LSU plus 8 and couldn't bet it. That Sunday when they opened, it was 8, and I still couldn't bet LSU at 8. It's just, I think Auburn's that much better this year, and LSU's going the other direction.
I got to echo his sentiment. My numbers say to take LSU here, but I'm scared to jump in front of this freight train. Auburn's playing so well, and LSU, they gave the gutty effort on the road last week, but, it was a 17-16 win, and there was a missed extra point in the game. Brian, this is your best bet. Tell us what to do here.
Yeah, say what you want about the LSU offense, and it's bad. I'll be honest with you, Clemson's offense has been disappointing to me. It's the defenses that keep me interested. And you talked about the Auburn defense. Auburn on the season is only allowing 6.8 points in the first half of the games. LSU, 6.6 points. Now, they haven't played Clemson and some of the other teams that Auburn has, but you still got an excellent defense in LSU. We saw it last week. That game, I believe I bet that game under, and I was never worried about that game going over.
Unless it went to overtime.
Unless it goes to overtime, which is something that happens.
If he didn't miss the extra
prepared
point.
For it. But I think the way these two teams are playing defense right now, I like the under in the first half to keep away from that overtime situation. And, obviously with an 8-point favorite, something in that range is not as much as it would be towards a pick-em for chances for it to go over. But, talk to Buffalo and Western Michigan after a 7 overtime game last week, how they feel about the overtimes. I'm going to go with the first half under here. I think both defenses dominate. And, I could definitely see Auburn getting off to a 14-0 lead before that. And LSU will have trouble moving the football. But I think this LSU defense is good enough to keep them in the game. At least first half, we'll go under 22, gives us 3 touchdowns to play with.
All right, good stuff from Brian. He says take under 22 in the first half, Auburn and LSU. Hey, and guys, if you haven't checked it out, the Gridiron Guide at Wager Talk. Ralph Michaels puts it together every week. It is fantastic. It's available every Monday. It is a great tool for you to do your own handicapping with. Use it. It's free. Download it at wagertalk.com. Check it out. And also, he's done the baseball first pitch. You saw that all summer. Great work from Ralph Michaels. And again, free, totally free at Wager Talk to help you in your own handicapping. We're going to be back with more here at wagertalk.com.